Praise the Lord, everyone. Thank you for tuning in with Dr. Leisha, the Preacha-OK. Well, guys, I have come a mighty, mighty long way. It's interesting how today I happened to run across the letter that I wrote to the adoption agency. This letter is dated April 19th, 2000. So this month, 25 years ago, I wrote this letter, probably to our case manager at the time. And it reads, straight from the heart. And then I begin the letter. What was I so afraid of? Well, as I look back on this experience, I conclude that I was afraid of all the changes that having a baby brings to the family. Originally, I feared so much of losing the relationship that he and I had so beautifully developed that the idea of bringing a baby into the picture was inconceivable. As his desire grew to have a child of his own, I became more fearful, but I knew that it would not be wise to fight him on it. So, reluctantly, I agreed to become a foster parent with the intent to adopt. It's amazing how true the poem that reads, quote, if you love something very much, let it go free. If it is meant to be yours, it will return to you. End of quote. I believe both he and I can attest to its meaning. As the time passed, he became equally fearful of losing the baby because he knew of my strong anxieties. We both were living in extreme fear. My anxieties developed into other concerns, such as being stuck at home for 5 to 6 more years, losing my self esteem and self worth, and relating the adoption of the baby to the assurance of a roof over my head. Yet, this bubbly, strong spirited little boy who looks a lot like my husband was growing up right before my very eyes. He entered into our lives and hearts like a flood, full of demands and instant attention. Ready or not, he was here. Please click like, subscribe to my channel as I continue the letter. The adoption date grew nearer, so did my fears. There was no way I could adopt anyone with all the unresolved issues that had manifest. At the risk of losing everything, so it seemed, I stopped the process. It appeared as though the only way to resolve all the issues was to give up the baby. He did not know what to do. He was forced to choose between the baby and me, which was his worst fear. Being willing to give up the baby, no doubt, relieved a lot of the symptoms of my fears. However, it wasn't until I received a strong sense of renewed inner peace about myself, my marriage, and family life, inclusive of the baby, that I realized this adoption is something that I can do and feel good about. This peace is something that I could not give myself, nor could anyone else but God. He and I both had to let go of all our fears and in return may regain all that was lost. Thank you for listening. Sincerely, Leisha. So that was the letter that I wrote 25 years ago. So when I listen to the relationship debates, the gender war conversations on YouTube and, just over the internet in general, online, based on my experience in life, I can understand what the men are talking about. I can understand what the women are talking about. I have experienced a lot within legal marriage. A lot of the same stuff that the people are debating online. And now that I am over the hardest part of my life, I'm over that part. I'm not saying that my life is easy breezy right now. And I'm not saying that I will never see a difficult day. I'm not saying that either. But what I'm saying is a lot of the stuff that people are arguing about today, I've endured it. I got through it. And I'm alive to tell about it. Please click like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that when I go live, you can be notified immediately and can join in. Share my videos. I have 6,000 videos on here. I'm comfortable sharing my story, my journey. This letter was written to an adoption agency during my second marriage. I was married the first time, and during that marriage, we had two children and we started a family business. And until this day, all three of those things, the two kids and the family business, are still alive. They're still alive today. So to me, despite divorce, that was a successful, worthwhile union. It has legacy and generational, wealth. Not so much rich, but wealth, something that's continuing to grow. But that letter is something that I experienced during the second marriage. I entered the marriage with two children already. We were not married long at all. He wanted to start adopting children. I just felt like I needed more time, to be legally married to him, to make sure that we were yoked well enough. Just because you say I do doesn't mean that's it. You have to develop the marriage. It has to grow. You have to get to know each other. Getting to know each other is not limited to sex. It's not limited to sex. You really do have to get to know each other, and that takes time. And it wasn't just the two of us. I came into the marriage with two children. That needed time too. I needed to make sure that he and the kids connected well enough. According to him, he had zero relationship experience. He had zero experience. So he didn't even know himself. For real, for real. And I definitely needed time to get to know him. And I needed to get to know myself with him. He's a whole different person, a whole different energy, a whole different set of leadership skills. Our dating was non traditional. We did not have, you know, the kind of dating that most people today afford themselves. So there was a lot that we could not get to know about each other until after we were married. That is the way it was set up. So once we were married, I was suggesting that we wait 5 years. Can we have 5 years before we add more children? But he was in competition with other couples in our life, and the whole keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing, and whatever he was dealing with. And I was just a foolish woman. No other way to put it. I need to stop saying what I had to do because I didn't have to. I was foolish. I was weak. I didn't want to be divorced twice within a few years. I had my own insecurities and chose to stay knowing that we were not yoked well enough to bring a child into the marriage, but he was not, according to him, experienced enough in life to know that. So, whether fair or not, understandable or not, I was put in a position where I felt pressured to adopt a child before I was ready. It's not that I never wanted to adopt a child. That wasn't it. It's just that I wasn't ready at that time. It was just too new in the marriage. You know, I felt that I was dealing with other women already that he wasn't talking about. He claimed to be a virgin, he claimed to be inexperienced, but yet, basically on our honeymoon, I began to notice that perhaps he's lying. So before we could even deal with those type of issues, he wants to adopt a child. So again, that was my foolish mistake. And I did try to stop the adoption process because I just couldn't see how we could be successful parents with those type of issues. But then once I allowed myself to be convinced to do something I didn't want to do, I didn't see how I could back out of it without looking like the bad person. You know what I mean? It was just, I was just stuck between a rock and a hard spot so early in the marriage. It was just so early in the marriage. And then the marriage, ultimately ended at year 25. And it was just very, very difficult the whole time. And I made the best of it. I mean, I really made sure that, the kids, you know, at least enjoyed their life, you know, had fun at the least. It wasn't until they were older that they realized that the marriage was so messed up, you know. Some parents have a way of, just keeping the kids busy, keeping them focused on a routine and focused on themselves, basically, enough where the issues of the marriage don't weigh heavy on the kids in obvious ways. Like I said, they were older before they understood anything really or even noticed anything. You know what I mean? So, you know, once I accepted my role, I did. It broke me, I end up in the mental hospital like 5 times. But, I'm a tough cookie. I always just, fix myself back up, get the help I need or whatever, and keep it pushing. And I was able to push all the way through until he left. And now that he's gone, I'm free and I'm staying free. I don't mind having friends. I've healed enough on my journey to have friends, but I don't want relationships anymore. And it's not just because of him, you know? No. It's also because of, the climate that we live in. And I just feel that, I've had enough relationships to be content in my old age. I'm old now to me. Other women my age may still feel young and live young and do young things, and that's great. Please do that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, you know, I tap out and I'm going to save and preserve myself for my kids and grandkids. And like I said, just have friends, hang out and have friends, Other than that, I'm not committed. I'm not opening my legs. And I'm just going to commit to my family, the one that I created with my own body, you know, give them the support that they need because I know that it lacks in this world. This world lacks the support that my family need. That means that I need to supplement as best I can, fill in the gap as best I can because they must go on. They must go on. And whatever I can do to help them, I will, seen or unseen, whether people know or not. I'm going to do for mine. And I will treat others as well as I treat us. But right now, our world is very small right now because we've been recovering. That divorce, that marriage from start to finish was troublesome. But we endured as a family and we're still here and I'm here for them and they're here for me. And I talk about my mistakes. I talk about my weaknesses. I talk about my foolishness so that it won't be repeated. And because I've been a leader in my communities, I have to go public. I lived a public life looking a certain way, but it wasn't necessarily the most accurate. It's not that it wasn't true, it's just that it wasn't the full picture. And so now that he divorced and opened the door, now that I can come clean and tell both sides of the story. The good side, people lived the good side with us, experienced it. And so now I'm just sharing the bad side so people can have a better picture and understand what really happened. It's not that the good side didn't happen. The good side was real. I made sure it was. I paid a lot of money. But there was a bad side that people didn't always see. And so now I'm in the position to show that side, express that side. And that's what I'm doing now. Thank you for your support. Again, click like, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Share my videos. I have 6,000 of them. I'm not monetized anywhere on social media. So I do have a PayPal for donations or love offerings. My PayPal is Dr. Leisha the Preacher, just like on my channel. You all be blessed and have a wonderful day. Bye.